cedi depreciation on the fortunes of businesses. So merely be aware that cedi is selling at 11 cedis to the dollar now. And businesses are reeling under the impact of this situation and passing it on to consumers. Also, today, as the world marks Mental Health Day, worldwide, we explore how Ghana can make mental health and well-being a national priority concerning us all. There are many ways you can join us here on the conversation because we're talking about the state of affairs in this country tonight. On Facebook, the hashtag is Ghana Tonight. On Twitter and Instagram, join in the conversation. Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs. Businesses count their losses following the depreciation of the cedi against the major trading currencies and deteriorating business climate in the country. Ghana Revenue Authority says it is undertaking a post-e-levy implementation review to identify and correct challenges associated with its rollout. Former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, Dr. Tony Obeng, has called on government to demonstrate commitment to tackling galamsey menace in the country. In a related development, environmental NGO Tropembos Ghana is urging government to declare cocoa growing areas as red zones against mining. Self-styled prophetess Patricia Esiodua, also known as Nana Agrada, remanded into police custody for 3 days. You can find more on 3news.com. The special prosecutor has waded into the issues relating to Charles Bissiu and Akonta mining. I'll tell you about it as Dr. Tony Obeng joins us in studio and some analysts as well who are going to be adding their voices to the critical conversation about illegal mining, the impact we're feeling it all around us. What has to be done beyond the words and the rhetoric? That's our conversation tonight. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Stay with us.
I'm going to interview Zuzum right here in my house. Hey!
Look up there. Why are you using inferior pen?
It was a mistake. I no check.
Akrobetu, I'm going to knock you out.
I know, sir.
You deserve quality.
Don't make mistakes. Stop.
You did the right thing.
When you are going to buy a paint, don't look left, don't look right. Go straight and grab the luxury acrylic paint. No be any painting be paint.
The luxury acrylic paint.
Paint me champion.
Franco Trading Enterprise. Yeah, don't want to say you did TV ebe jaso. Mujitum na musumma fefe. Munim dada say you were 32 inches, 40 inches, 43 inches, 55 inches. Say you do 65 inches. Kesiye. Ana kukruwa 24 inches. Abejaso. Ma mu fie power ne what down no. TV need me holding it up. I'm waiting me show TV no. I'm tossum TV no. A school for hotels, bars, munina. Mumbra Franco Trading Enterprise. Yebe show fefe. Franco Trading Enterprise. Television papa. I hate you.
Franco Trading Enterprise. None of when you miss way. You're running in your perfect.
Welcome back to Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, and all across the world on 3news.com. A special prosecutor has instituted investigations from what they're gathering into some public officials over the alleged involvement in illegal mining. Now, the investigation targets some officials of the Lands Ministry and the Forestry Commission and the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. That's where Charles Bishi was. That's the letter you see on the screen there. Now, in the case of the committee, it will consider the issues regarding the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road, vehicles, and gold nuggets. In the press release, as you see there, the Office of Special Prosecutor said there's an ongoing inquiry into allegations of use of public office for profit against Charles Bishi during his term as Secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. This is based on an investigative documentary by Tiger Eye PI, and the details are in there, and the District Chief Executive was also being summoned in that regard. So this is something you're going to be keeping a keen eye on. But is this enough? Does this send any signal about the fight against illegal mining, the commitment to prosecute, the lack of prosecution which has been identified as the missing link in all of this, and the political will to do the right thing to serve as a deterrent? Now, these are the areas of illegal mining as identified and captured. So how do Galamsey operators get into forest reserves? And how can someone who says is involved in small-scale mining have access to forest reserves? What is the role of the Minerals Commission in all of this? Joining us in studio is the founder and president of the African Institute of Extractive Industry, is a former chief executive officer of the Minerals Commission of Ghana. He knows the in and outs of this particular institution we're talking about. Dr. Tony Obin, thank you very much for joining us on Ghana Tonight.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. We would also have on Zoom now Gideon Ofosu-Peasah, who is the Deputy Executive Director, Africa Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability, and a mineral analyst is joining us now. Mr. Peasah, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers.
Now, Dr. Obin, so I'm wondering, how do illegal miners, or as a small-scale miners, even getting to forest reserves where no mining or prospecting is supposed to take place?
Right. It is not possible for small-scale miners largely to get license to work in forest reserves.
It's not possible? It's not possible.
Well, but it is possible, depending upon the current policy environment, for people to have prospecting license for large-scale mining. So that's the problem.
Large-scale mining in a forest reserve?
To prospect in a forest reserve. It is possible, and they have to go through a series of processes. Ideally, and generally, I would say, the forest reserve should not be mined. It is not allowed to mine in a forest reserve. However, certain exceptions would be given, and for which you have to comply with some strict requirement. There are a few situations where large-scale mining companies have been asked or have been allowed to mine or prospect in some forest reserve. If you recall, Chirano Gold, they had difficulties getting the license to work in the forest reserve. Eventually, they got some portion of that. And then also Newmont at a point in time in the Achim Ajenwa people area. And it was against a very stringent offset requirement. So it is not very easy to get a prospecting license in a forest reserve.
You've seen that Akonta mining case, right?
That's
you
correct.
Followed it closely.
Yeah.
They were seeking the license. In fact, they were giving to prospect and mine in a forest reserve.
You see, that's a problem. I know that in 2017, even the minister then announced that there will be no prospecting. In fact, the government, was a cabinet decision, if I recall correctly, that there will not be any mining activity, no prospecting activity at all in the forest reserve, which was very good, which meant that even if you follow the process of applying for prospecting in the forest, it will not be received, or nobody will respond to it. So I was surprised that lately you have some forests being some permit being given for prospectors or for mining companies to go into forest reserve to prospect.
There's this letter from the Forestry Commission, which I'm sure you've seen a copy of. It said, we forward to you an application from Akonta Mining Company Limited requesting for forest entry permit to enable the company conduct prospecting activities in the Tano Nimin Forest Reserve in the Asenkrigwa Forest District. That's quite clear. I mean, look, what can enable this surprise, which you say you are surprised that this company is able to get into a forest reserve? How can that happen?
Well, that's the point. The point is that you must be someone who, that is my own conjecture, that you must be someone who is quite powerful to be able to get, at this time when everybody is complaining about illegal mining, complaining about the impact of small-scale mining on our water bodies and all that, I'm shocked that the Forestry Commission would give prospecting license or any form of license to work in the forest reserve. And I tell you, this would require that person is quite very high placed. If you're not high, I mean, I don't think if I applied for it, anybody would listen to it. I would not even apply for that. But you must be a very powerful person to have the process go through for you.
I see. Now, Mr. Peasah, you've been involved in a lot of research in this particular regard. And look, how has the politics of fighting against illegal mining derailed all of the efforts that we're putting in and the taxpayers' money we are investing in this venture?
Good evening once again to your listeners. You see, what is happening is that government has a lot of fine policies and then all that. Some are fine, some are not. But when I mean some are fine and some are not, is that sometimes some of them, the politics are eating into it. An example is the issue of the community mining, for instance. Most of these community miners are being supervised by some of the members of parliament in those areas, and then some of the party executive, the party chairman, and then all that. So you find out that those who have the opportunity to even be involved in community mining are linked to the ruling party one way or the other. I'll not be surprised if this government should leave office and then probably a new government comes, then they are also going to bring their own people. So that is the politics of it. Another aspect of the politics of it is that when you look at the Minerals and Mining Act, which was promulgated in 2006, it has gone through a series of revisions just to make sure that the punitive measures in there are so strong enough to deter people from engaging in such activities. It used to be that the high courts were only reserved to try cases. Now it has been extended to circuit courts so that these issues can be expedited. The fines, the prison terms, and then all that have been increased. The law did not also make provision for what should happen if a mining equipment, let's say an excavator, is confiscated. If a mineral is confiscated, what should happen to it? What is the process? Those provisions were not made, but the Minerals and Mining Act, as amended, has made provisions for all those things. So we hear of Akonta mining. Yes, the minister said that Akonta mining should no longer mine, but is that where it should end? What stops the minister from saying that, okay, I'll speak to my colleague, the Attorney General, to commence an investigation and then provide a report within X number of weeks based on the findings? Then we are going to go ahead to prosecute you. That is where we should get to. If you are able to deal with some of these big fishes in there who are behind that by prosecuting them, that is going to send a right signal to all those political actors and then people in high places who are behind the scenes doing all these things. Until that, all the other policies that we are doing is just going to be a box checking process.
You see, apart from the political, or the lack of the political will, Dr. Tony Obeng, there is the institutional efficiency in this regard as well. So at the political level, the institutional level, and the local level. Yeah. The Minerals Commission, for instance, can they be excused from this Akonta mining, a classic case like this?
No, they can't. The minister can't also be excused because it is the Minerals Commission that advises the minister on the grant of a permit or a license. And to be fair to the commission per se doesn't issue licenses. The licenses are issued by the minister because the minister represents the president, who has the, who is a trustee of our mineral resources.
I see.
So
the minister issues the license.
Yes.
So in this case, this entry permit to Akonta Mining to enable the company conduct prospecting activities in the tunnel in the Marine Forest Reserve.
If the prospecting license, this is entry permit.
Yes.
Is a request for the prospector or the person to go into the forest.
The forest.
So if eventually the license is given for him to do prospecting over there, that license you would see would have been signed by the minister.
But the company was already engaged in mining.
Which is where the galamsey comes in. You see, illegal mining, that's what it is. Even if you were granted prospecting license, there are various levels of licenses. You have the RECI, the reconnaissance license. And that one, all you do is to do some soil sampling. You can do geophysical work. You can just take water from the area and test and see whether there are some evidence of minerals in that area. That one you are not allowed to dig. You are not allowed to do a trench. You are not allowed to drill. Now, once that stage passes, then you can go to prospecting. You apply for the prospecting license. That license grants you the authority to drill or trench or do other things. So it doesn't allow you to mine. So if you have a prospecting license and you use the prospecting license to mine, it is illegality. It is an illegality.
So Akonta Mining cannot say that they are not involved in illegal mining?
No, once they have not given you a mining lease, the only thing that allows you to work is a mining lease. And even that, the mining lease will be subject to EPA's approval, this and that. And in fact, to go to the full hog, you must even have the lease ratified. Remember, there's a case in the country where someone loses his concession because the concession was not ratified. The last bit that has to go to Parliament. But granting that aspect may be a long process, you must have a mining lease before you can, and then a digging permit before you can get into.
So, apart from asking the company to stop operations, pack out of the forest reserve, what is the punishment? What does the law say?
As my colleague, Mr. Peasah, was talking about, until 2015 or so, if you're involved in illegal mining, your equipment and all that things, there were no laws that guided that. In 2015, 2016, a law was passed that actually, devised or provided for punishment and a process for trial. That is why he said that previously these things should go to High Court. Now, I think at the district court level or so, you can even be tried. And then punishments were instituted. I believe that the punishment was differentiated because I was directly involved in that. The punishment, they were differentiated between foreigners, for the foreigners, and that for Ghanaians. I think if you're a Ghanaian, it was between 5 and, I don't know if it's 15 years or so. And then, and then we came up with hefty fines in lieu of of incarceration. In fact, when the government came, the president actually expanded the punishment. He made it even stricter. So I think that this is a clear case of abusing or breaching the laws. It doesn't mean he's guilty. Why wouldn't we send him to court? Really. But obviously he has breached. If the process that we have seen is correct, then I mean, true to what the law says, why don't we test the law by sending Akonta Mining and other related people who have committed similar infractions against the minerals and mining laws, and then see how it goes? That's a problem. The problem is that we probably are too selective in who should be punished or who should be arrested and who should be tried and all that. All these are not helping us in addressing the challenge. Whom am I to? Whom am I to? I think it's a clear case that this matter has to go to court, and then the law should take it level. But if we're not doing that, and we haven't done that even against other people who have been apprehended on similar grounds. So the issue that one could speculate is that maybe the person, if it is wound to me, he's the chairman of the Ashanti Regional branch of Ashanti Regional chairman of the
but he's
MPP.
not above the law.
He's very powerful.
But he's not above the law.
Nobody is above the law. Even the president says that he's not above the law. Therefore, so why is he below the law? Why is he above the law? Why is he not below the law? Or maybe they are, look, maybe they are processing. I don't know. Maybe they are processing for court. But I mean, in the heat of this fight, it would have been very interesting to test the law on this, and then to ensure that people who are close to government, if they are guilty, are punished, so that those who are not close by following would say, hey, even if a man closer to government has been punished because he broke the law, then I will not dare. But if we are selective, I mean, there's evidence that during the heat of Stop Galamsey, when Galamsey was actually stopped for a year or so, there were some people who were mining, being guided to mine.
When you were CEO of the Minerals Commission, also illegal mining.
Yep.
How did you deal with that as CEO?
Illegal mining has been around for a very long time. Let me admit this. You know, until 1989, in fact, the whole aspect of mining by Ghanaians was illegal. It took the president, the PNDC government at that time, knowing that people were doing illegal all the time, knowing that we need to find a way of regulating that. Passed the Mercury law, passed the small-scale mining law, and then later on the PMMC law. So it was a way of regulating people who wanted to do small-scale mining and showing them where to sell their product. Now, at that time, the type of mining was more artisanal, or artisanal, as some people say. They were using shovels and pickers and simple implement. So the impact on the environment was not that significant. So we managed it a bit until 2006. And I was watching your program. Somebody was giving a very warped, no, it wasn't a program, a very warped history of it. It was 2006 when some Ghanaians were sent to China to study how the Chinese did their small-scale mining. I think that at that time, perhaps the intention was good because they said to do it efficiently. Intentions were good. Some people were sent to China. I believe it included the president of Akunta Mining. And they came, and now that is where the Shamfa technology came to Ghana. The Shamfa technology and the Chinese.
So, per the information you have, Chairman Wontumi was part of the group of people who were sent
I
to China.
think so.
To go and study
how
the Chinese do their
the mining. And I must underline that the intention at that time was efficiency. We make sure that you do it properly. And then they came with new technology, and eventually excavators became part of small-scale mining. Excavators that's never been part of small-scale mining until after 2006, 2007. And if you look at the trend of production, if you look at the statistics on the production of gold by the small-scale mining sector, it started going up from then. So you could see that it started going up. So there was an impact on the introduction of Shamfa and excavators.
And Mr. Peasah, I'll bring you here at this point, and as to how the situation has gotten worse as we speak, and whether we ourselves can also take the blame.
So what is happening is that our traditional leaders and then these families, they do have a key role to play. Usually, they give people unofficial, should I say, permits for people to go and mine, which is wrong, which ideally they should have advised or insisted that they go to the Minerals Commission, okay, to go through the right processes to put in an application and then seek other permissions from the EPA and then all that. But when money is seen, it is like, okay, this place belongs to me. And then they give people the permission to go ahead and then start the mining. So that is an issue. Again, there's also been this issue of inadequate geological data in there. So usually, if we had through the Minerals Commission, if they had enough funding, the Minerals Commission and then the Ghana Geological Department had enough funding and then had done a lot of geological works, of course, anyone who could contact them and they can be directed to a place which is stretches of land. So we have land parcel A, land parcel B, land parcel C. And then land parcel A has agreed that his farmland should be mined and then has taken money for that. And then the one who owns the land C has also agreed that his land should be mined. Of course, they would have taken money. So it is really difficult, but when you talk to the people on the ground, these are some of the issues and then the challenges.
Dr. Oben, if government fails to test the law in this classic case of Akonta mining, what would that communicate to you?
It would be a very negative, it would be an indictment on government and on our laws as well. I mean, how enforcement of our law. And I also believe that if government fails to do that, and you know, if it's a criminal offense, who punishes, who prosecutes this? It is going to be the Attorney General who has to do that. Mm-hmm. So that's why everybody is looking at government to see what to do, because the individuals don't go prosecuting criminal offenses. So I think government must do that. Otherwise, it will be very negative. It will send a very wrong signals. It will be a case of discriminatory enforcement of the law, and it won't be good for us.
Clearly, the politics has also not helped this fight against illegal mining, has it? The evidence shows, isn't it? That's correct.
I mean, that's correct. The politics is very worrying. And I started writing about that some long time ago. 2009, I did an article which was published in the Resource Policy, and it showed that. And then, but it has deepened over the years. It has deepened. The depth of political intrusion into illegal small-scale mining is staggering. I mean, that's a challenge.
Did you have to deal with that when you were Minerals Commission CEO, that a politician comes to you and says, you know what, I want the commission to do A, B, and C for me?
People knew me and they knew my principles. There were a couple of situations where we had seized an excavator and a politician said, oh, Charlie, that excavator belongs to a friend that I know. Mm-hmm. And we did not, we said, but Honorable, we can't do that. The other one, let me give you one last example. Mm-hmm. There was a guy who had a prospecting license. We had granted a prospecting license. I believe it was in the forest. It was a prospecting license. And the guy had started, as soon as he got the license, he started going to mine. We just withdrew the license. We withdrew the license immediately. In fact, I had instructions from the top that they have this information. Check if that is true. Take out the license. And you see, when you have the fight being supported from the top, it's very easy. Mm-hmm. You need to be bold in situations like this. Say, this man, take it from him, because he's not following the. Because, so when we
political leadership,
yes,
from the presidency,
yes, the president called me. He called and said, please, there are reports that somebody is mining in a particular place who you have given the prospecting license. Indeed, I sent my staff, and it was true. And quickly we wrote to, in fact, the person almost took us to court. I'm not sure we stopped everything, but right. I think, the reason we saw a bit of calmness at that time was that we had a very rational approach. Don't forget that 2013, the former president actually started using the police to try and stop, because it was also getting out of hand. And then he was advised that is not the solution. The long-term, it's not a sustainable solution. The long-term solution must be thought out. He set us out to come up with a long-term sustainable solution. He looked at it, he liked it, but then elections came. But the good thing is that in Ghana, when people are leaving office, they leave notes. They leave notes. So this blueprint was left there for us to continue in that direction.
Is there a political will to fight this illegal mining, by what you've seen?
I thought when President Akufo-Addo came, I thought there was a well. I was actually initially amazed that, wow, for the president to say I'm putting my presidency, then it means he's got the well. And then he said yesterday that it's all bombast. You know, a few days ago. I like the word bombast. You know, but then later events, in fact, not too long after his own speeches, and I saw people clamoring for forest reserves and all that. I said, somebody may be probably interested to stop, but he has no connection with his people. There was no connection with his people. I don't know whether he meant it, but even if he meant it, he had no connection with his people. So a lot of there was a person, high place, when we were doing the Stop Galamsey, and then we were wearing all these T-shirts and all that. Somebody said, should I use my chest to carry that message? And that person was a functionary of this government, and he was in a position. He said he will not use it because he doesn't think it is right to stop the Galamsey thing, because some people are working. This came from someone. I can't name the person here for some reasons, but that's a problem. So maybe there was a disconnect between what the president was thinking and the people who were supposed to do it. It's a problem.
Oh, Mr. Peasah, finally, before I let you go, I mean, with the research you've been doing in these Galamsey-prone areas, will the community mining be the solution to this situation that we are confronted with as a country?
When you look at the community mining, when you look at the document in itself, the guidelines around community mining, reading it, it has so fine details. And then should have been an opportunity for us to return to sustainable mining, and then to help those probably who will not have the financial and then technology wherewithal to be able to come in together as groups, as cooperative, licensed, the uniform, giving ID cards, and then they can work under supervision by the Minerals Commission, provided with any health, safety, environment, and then security advice that they need. They can get loans because they are cooperatives to get the needed machinery that they can use, and then for their processing, and then for their work, and then that would have been excellent. Now, when you look at the document, it should have a sick bay on site, an office, and then all that. But unfortunately, that is not what we are seeing. So if we are going to return to what the document said, okay, what the document has stated in black and white, and then they will eliminate all those forms of politics related to it, then that will be the way to go. But community mining, as it looks now, or as it is being operated now, I'm sorry for us as a country.
Well, Mr. Gideon Ofosu-Peasah, thank you very much. Deputy Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability. Dr. Tony Obeng, I appreciate your time. Thank you. He is a former Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission. Stay with us. This is Ghana Tonight. We'll be back shortly after this quick break. Businesses in the Ashanti region closed their shops in protest against the taxes and the form in which they are being taxed, and then also the impact of the depreciation of their city on their businesses. The Association of Ghana Industries will be joining us after this, and then also the hospitality industry will be joining us to help us understand how this city depreciation is impacting on them. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly.
Exciting to see you. You're warmly welcome to the new season of Today's Woman. Come on in, come in, and feel at home. My name is Janet Sungpo Mills, and I'm going to take you on this amazing and exciting journey to meet beautiful women who are doing exciting things right here in Ghana and from across all over the world. Today's woman is independent, and yet she's never ever alone. She finds strength and she finds purpose, resolve, and support from a community of other inspiring women who who are helping her to navigate the challenges along her path. Journey with me and my zealous women each and every week on Today's Woman, right here on TV3.
Today's Woman, coming soon on TV3.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Traders in the Ashanti region locked their shops today for a number of reasons. Two, the taxes being collected from the form in which the taxes are being collected and the depreciation of the city and its impact on their businesses. Take a look.
Part of the business community in the Kumasi Central Business District is shut down. Most of the merchants here deal in food commodities. Today, they are protesting over plummeting of the city and the rising dollar rate. The business operators here are mostly merchants who deal in imported consumables like rice, sugar, and other commodities. But today, they are not opening their shops in protest of the skyrocketing dollar and, of course, what they describe as disparities in the tax regime.
Ombra nyina yentenas because abanti ebe etincline wahye tax no say nyina yintwa me ho aso adwuma ye the profit margins no and etua tax.
We've been using our profit margins to settle tax. That is unfair. We want a dialogue with the government.
Well, that's the reality they are faced with, and it's not peculiar to just the Ashanti region. It's a situation that is nationwide. Now, take a look at this example. If you are a trader dealing in the importation of items, in January, the cedi to the dollar was 6 cedis 40 pesos. It's going to be on the screen right now. That's what was in January. That's how we started the year, 6 cedis 40 pesos. That's it. Now, if you were going to buy goods worth $10,000, you needed 64,000 cedis in January. Fast forward 9 months on, this is what we've given birth to. The cedi is 11 cedis 20 pesos on the average to the dollar. If you're buying the same quantity of goods worth $10,000, you need 112,000 cedis. Now, the difference between January and now is that for you as a trader, you have to look for additional 48,000 cedis to make up the difference. That's the situation. Chona Makpelo is the Greater Accra Regional Chair of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI. Dr. Edward Akanyameke is the Executive Director of the Hospitality Industries Association, that's members in this country. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Thank you very much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. Chona, I'll start off with you. For AGI, how are your members reeling under the impact of this cedi depreciation?
Well, good evening to your listeners, and thank you for having me. I would like to begin by saying that, in fact, the times are not only hard, but they are extremely worrying, especially also because it's on daily basis, we're realizing that we're not able to solve the issues that we're being confronted with, and things are getting worse, not better. And for our members, especially the AGI members who produce locally, we're getting to that stage where very soon. Most of our companies will have to be closed down simply because it's really hard to cope. Whilst some of our members import their raw materials from abroad, meaning that they need to have access to dollars in order to be able to import. Because of the exchange rate differentials, it's hard to get the quantities of raw materials required. Even if you're able to get it, by the time you are done with the production, you are unable to pass the entire cost to the consumers. So you are stuck in the middle. You're unable to make profit. And at the same time, your goods are already very high. The prices of your goods are really high. So most of our members are left with no option than to consider to lay off workers, but actually also consider to close down their businesses. So the times are not good.
I see. A number of your members are laying off workers and considering closing down their companies in this country. That's what's happening.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly the situation we're finding ourselves in now.
Can you give me an example of one of your members who was laid off workers? How many workers, for instance?
Well, I have one company based in Tema. I'm not sure I should mention the name.
Right.
So what happened is that the goods they produce, now the same goods are being brought from Indonesia. Finished product, very cheap. So they are losing off about 50% in terms of the cost. So as a result, they are not able to compete in the market. So the CEO complained, nothing is being done. And he said, you know what? It's better he just cut down the production. So half of the factory is shut down. They are not producing. And he's actually laid off workers, about 100 workers the last time I checked. And this is just one. I mean, there are many of these situations that we're dealing with on a daily basis.
I see.
It's not being said because it's not a good story. So a lot of people just keep it and just shut down and move on and do something else. And at the same time, some people are actually now also buying the finished product also and selling in our market as though it's being manufactured here in Ghana. What it means is that when you are buying finished products, then you have to lay off workers because all these people who would normally be part of the production process, you don't need them any longer because you are buying finished products to sell. So these are the different dynamics that we're dealing with as a result of the current economic situation.
Dr. Kanyamike, how's this city depreciation impacting on you, the players in the hospitality sector in this country?
Well, Alfred, good evening and good evening to your viewers. The industry, referring to the hotel industry, approaches the situation in a slightly different way. The services we provide, quite a number of it depends on inputs within the country. And there are some that we import as well, especially for the upmarket hotels. So if the focus is on the upmarket hotels, then that's where we have the challenges, especially with the food and beverage segments. That's where the challenge is. But most of the items, we buy them here. And even there, we keep getting the feedback that a lot of them are also imported by others. It's not imported directly by the hoteliers. So the price increases also affect those things. And of course, once that happens, that means that our operational cost is getting higher and higher. So that is the situation that we find.
I see. Have you, any of your members also had to lay off workers as a result of this situation, the impact of the depreciating cedi?
Well, Alfred, for now, fortunately, we haven't had that feedback from our members in regards to laying off of workers. We are yet to receive any feedback on that. We are hoping that we wouldn't get to that stage. What it means is that some of the hotels are having to adjust their rates in order to ensure that they stay in business. And that is where the issues come in. The profit margins will have to be weighed against the rates which we charge our clients and customers, but our clients are also quite price sensitive. So we try to cushion as much as possible where it becomes necessary for survival. Then some rate adjustments are coming in, especially with the food and beverage segment. That's where we try to adjust. But with the rooms, largely, there have not really been changes in that.
So what you're doing to stay in business is you're reducing your rates, which obviously impacts on the profit you're making and the sustainability of your businesses. Just so that you can stay in business. That's the trade-off you're having to deal with now.
You see, the hotel business is such that a lot depends on patronage. So you may have noticed that a lot of the hotels have stepped up marketing, they've stepped up the partnership with the other industry players. And then also our business also coinciding with a lot of activities getting into the Yuletide season. A lot of events are going on. And that's where a lot of the hotels leverage on. But
right.
Even with that, when you are still confronted with regular increases in price of goods, then there's a point, there's some threshold where you trade off, like I say, you trade off the patronage with regards to your cost of operation. And if it's within your profit margin, then you are able to cushion it. But if you don't get that kind of patronage, and from where I sit as a president, I usually try to look at it from the angle of both the lower market hotels and the upper market hotels. That's why sometimes my response is I have to choose my words carefully, because it's not the same for the lower market hotels as a budget point to start. Sometimes there are a lot of challenges there. Yeah, so that's the situation.
Jonam, so what has to be done, I mean, now to ensure that your members don't lay off more workers, just one company laying off 100 workers? Obviously, this is an urgent situation. What has to be done now?
Well, thank you. Many things. We need to have immediate plan, medium plan, and long-term plan. So I'll start from the long term. For the long-term plan, we just have to be able to produce things locally. There has to be intentional policy on the part of government to make sure that within the next 10 years, we cut down importation significantly. As you know, about 70% of everything we use in Ghana is imported. And that's really the foundation of the challenge. So how do we reduce the rate at which we import? And how are we able to provide incentives for our local industries so they can produce and be able to employ more people? So these are the things that we need to do. We know the answers already. Government know the answers, industry know the answers. The issue is the willpower to be able to implement some of these things. Then the second thing, in the medium term, we would like the central bank to really consider their monetary, the policy rate. Because every now and then they increase the policy rate. It's making the cost of borrowing very high, really high. And I think that the issue is that they're trying to deal with inflation by increasing the policy rate. But most of the inflationary situation is because of the importation, really, and also because of the exchange rate. So it's not that the Ghanaian businesses have so much money, so you're trying to mop up the money from the system. Right. It's not the case. So we are asking the central banks to consider the policy rate and make sure that they have a rate that allows a lot more people to borrow and be able to expand the production space. But immediately, I feel that government need to come in. Government need to have a plan to say, you know what, we are trying to help local industries, hold hands and pump in money. I mean, probably a stimulus package that, select some companies, SMEs, medium businesses and large companies, and then give them packages, stimulus package. Say, you know what, we want you to continue to employ people. So we're giving you 5 million Ghana cedis, 10 million Ghana cedis. Go out and make this thing happen. I think that some of these stimulus packages at this time will be very useful. But otherwise, if we just allow our industries to face the huge challenges that we're facing now, I'm afraid a lot of our people will collapse in the short possible time.
A reality that we're all dealing with now. Chonam, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. Chonam Akpelo is the Greater Accra Regional Chair of the Association of Ghana Industries. Dr. Kanyameke, I thank you so much as well for joining us on Ghana Tonight. He's a president of the Ghana Hoteliers Association as well, telling us the impact of the depreciating cedi on that industry. Gentlemen, I appreciate your time on Ghana Tonight. And we all are the receiving end of this. And the economic situation is also impacting on mental health delivery in this country. And the World Health Organization says Africa has the highest rate of people dying by suicide in the world. Now, take a look at the mental health picture in this country as we know it. As the world, we're joining the world to commemorate Mental Health Day. This is the spotlight and how the picture really looks like when it comes to mental health delivery in this country. Now, according to the World Health Organization, regional hospitals, 4 psychiatric hospitals, 3 actually giving basic mental health care. That's Ankafo, and then you have Pantang, and then Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Then also, in terms of human resource, psychologists, 244 nationwide. Majority of them are in the major cities and towns. Psychiatrists, 39. Now, mental health nurses is about a little over 2,463. That's mental health society workers. It goes on and on. And then take a look at this. Just 10% of Ghana's population, we understand, has this confirmed case, but about 80% have one form of mental stress or disorder or the other. Now, 41% of Ghanaians have psychological distress, and this is as at 2021. So you know that the situation is different now because of the economic situation and how it's impacting on our psychology. 16,000 persons with several mental illnesses, as we know it. So I start with Professor Ofosu Peasah, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Mental Health Authority here in Ghana, to get more details about what's happening in this country with mental health. So, Professor Ofosu Peasah, tell me exactly how the picture of mental health delivery is in Ghana at the moment.
I would say we are probably just about 50% of where you should be. But that also tells us that we have come quite a long way from where we were some time back. But we are nowhere near where we want to be and where we can be and where we should be. What I mean is that if we get to the point where we think we have arrived, we should not be seeing patients roaming the streets, mentally ill, eating from the refuse dump, drinking from the drainage. That should not be happening. The last time we did a head count of persons with mental illness was about 7 years ago, and we intend repeating it this year. That time we had 6,000 all over the country. And even there, we call it a rapid assessment. It was not a detailed assessment, right, like real population census. Could have been more. Obviously, we expected it would have been more. And even if you take the 6,000 for 7 years, population increasing, persons with mental illness also coming up increasing, we can estimate that probably we may be dealing with some 15,000 today. And that's a lot. And as you rightly said in your introduction, it's a security threat. We are all aware of what happened not too long ago, a woman killing somebody, and that was unfortunate. And I must say that that is not the only such episode we've had. At Asante Mampon, somebody, mentally ill person on the streets, killed another person, and the whole town ganged up to attempt to lynch not only that person, but everybody else in the Asante Mampon municipality with mental illness. And we had to fall on the police. And there are quite a number of other things. So we certainly will need to get this situation under control.
And I understand with all the 3 psychiatric hospitals, Ankafo and also the Pantine, and then the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, they all owe the food suppliers. They're indebted to the food suppliers.
Indeed, even as we speak right now, the hospitals, giving them 3 meals a day, they are reducing the meals from 3 times to 2 times and then to once. And then if we still don't have resources coming, they will not be able to give food at all. And if you have brought your word from Tamale, Zamzugu, then it means you need to come and stay with the person to be able to offer the meals. That is not the best of the situation. But we are getting there quickly. And one of these days, we will come to you, to the media, to announce to you that this is what is going to happen if you don't get intervention. I have on my desk Pantan and Accra Psychiatric Hospital owing about 3 million to suppliers. That needs to be paid. If that is not paid, as I said, they will need to stop giving food to the patients completely. I believe that, of course, if the money was on the table of the Minister for Health, I'm sure you'd have taken and given to us. And truly, if you gave all the money that comes to the Ministry of Health to us, it will still not be enough. And I give the analogy every now and then that if you have 2 children, one is malnourished and the other is adequately fed, who are you going to spend more money on? It's the one who is malnourished because he has been deprived for so long. So you need to spend quite a lot of money to bring the person to a certain parity with the other one. That is our situation. We have been deprived for so long, mental health. We've been deprived for so long.
But how about the patients as well, who are living in these psychiatric hospitals?
It's going to be redeveloped the way that Rich Hospital is being redeveloped. Rich Hospital, they pulled down half of the hospital, rebuilt it. So while they pulled it down, the patients were taken to the other half, rebuilt it, and then when you are done with that, the second phase will be to send the patients to that one and rebuild and demolish the other half. Similar thing is going to happen to Accra Psychiatric Hospital. Remember, Accra Psychiatric Hospital was built and commissioned in 1906, over 100 years. So at that time, everywhere in the world, there was no treatment for persons with mental illness. So just put them for custodial purposes. So it was an asylum. And that's what gave rise to the name Asylum Down. So Accra Asylum, and down there is Asylum Down. So it was just a place of custody. If you go there, you see prisons live, the bars and all those things. So we've moved far away from there. So the government we've discussed with successive governments all along so that we can redevelop the place. But current government has taken it up, that we are going to redevelop. So is government doing it? Of course, it may be in partnership, but the point is, as of now, it's not being sold. That I can assure you, it's not being sold. There's no way the place will be sold without my knowledge. It is possible that if somebody said that there are plans, then of course I can't know what is in everybody's plans. But that is being sold, it's not being sold. As we stand here, it's not being sold. It's going to be redeveloped. We are hoping that it will start next month, September. We are told that if they start it within 2 years, they should finish. And I must say, it's actually been made part of Agenda 111. So really, we are talking of Agenda 112.
There's increased stress because of the economic situation that we find ourselves in as a country, which is impacting on people's mental health. So certainly something has to change, and we need to get serious with this. What would be your proposal to government for that matter?
We think this is a tax with a difference. One is that the government can take part of existing taxes, so that's all become a new tax. So you can take maybe 4 taxes. We have a TOC tax, that's telcos tax, NHIL, e-levy, VAT, we have get fund, various taxes. So just take 0.5% out of each of those taxes. If you get 4, you put the 0.5%, you have 2% of equivalent of any tax. That would be a lot. That's one approach. And the government, the ordinary person will not feel. A second approach that can be done will be that just take 50 pesos, not 1 cedi, just 50 pesos out of every salaried worker's salary. 50 pesos, I'm not too sure that if you explain to the Ghanaian that we are taking 50 pesos out of your salary for this good cause, to get the patients out of the streets, to avoid that security threat, to get the patients to be treated free of charge when you go to the hospital, and all those things, I'm sure they will not be worried. Now, if you have 700,000 workers, 50 pesos each, that comes to 350,000 a month. 2 months, you have 700,000, 2 months. 4 months, 1.4 million, and continue for 1 year. This will be a sustaining approach that we can use to get funding for mental health care. Of course, the government wouldn't stop its own funding. So added to that, you would have enough money. So that's one. And the third would be to establish a new tax, which I guess will be a problem. You and I will now need to talk and tell the government that the Ghanaian will not feel overburdened. So this is why we want the media also to come in, civil society to come in, think tanks. Everybody is keeping quiet as if it's my palaver alone.
Unfortunately, but we've put the spotlight on this, and let's all take care of our mental health. Government also doing the necessary and investing the resources there. But thank you so much for time on Ghana Tonight. Join us same time tomorrow. On behalf of the rest of the team, we appreciate your company. I am Alfred Okansi. Have a good night.